That must be a tough day, right? When you get cancelled.
Well, you know what? There's two things to this, isn't it? Again, it's a sliding scale. If getting cancelled is being culpable for your actions, then yeah, that's always been around. If getting cancelled is, I don't like you as a comedian, I'm burning your DVDs and I'm never coming to one of your shows, that's great, that's their right. If being cancelled is, I've just found a 25-year-old email from someone who said the wrong thing in private, and now they've got a top job and we have to destroy their career.
Trusting the government these days is like entrusting a fox to guard a chicken coop, isn't it? Known for his uncompromising opinions, Ricky Gervais has boldly spoken out against Rachel Reeves and the Labour government, and his message cannot be ignored. What does he want to say? You just can't trust them. Especially after they left behind a string of broken promises and half-truths that disappointed millions. Think about it. How many times have we heard politicians swear that they are working for the good of the people, only to then watch with indifference as they change the rules in their favor? Gervais has not been shy in his expressions, boldly exposing the lies and inconsistencies he sees in Reeves' policies and statements. He points to examples of dishonesty that have left a bitter aftertaste among voters eager for real change. These are not just words. They are the cry of the soul of those who are tired of deception and manipulation.
I want to go, well, hold on, this is what's happened? What's happened here? You know, and you usually find ulterior motive, because no one really cares about the argument anymore or the principle. They just care about who's saying it. They're trying to take down a general on the other side, and it falls into tribes, you know, and I see it all the time. And you see it more clearly on Twitter, because you look at their profile and they've got all their credentials in there, and then they're trying to get someone cancelled who's got the other credentials, and you think, well, you're not even listening to each other now. You've just read each other's bio.
However, it's not just limited to Reeves. Gervais boldly directs his criticism at the entire leadership of the Labour Party, emphasising that trust in them is rapidly melting away. And he's not alone in his feelings. Opinion polls show that faith in politicians of all stripes has reached a critical point. And this is alarming. Gervais is not a political expert. He's a comedian, but his words inflict deeper wounds than most political speeches. Why is that? Because they reflect the general frustration that many people are experiencing. If the government cannot be trusted to keep its promises, then what is the point of these promises? Ricky Gervais is not shy about exposing political dishonesty. After he criticized Rachel Reeves, he expanded his attack on the entire reliability of the government. His arguments? Politicians have mastered the art of saying one thing and doing something completely different, leaving the public in a constant state of betrayal and disappointment. Gervais sees this problem as systemic.
A quote here from a pretty prominent economist, and they say that Labour needs to provide an alternative to aggressive policies being prioritised by the Conservatives. The banks and those earning more than £100,000 could quite easily contribute a little more, and unless they do, inequality and poverty will inevitably soar in the months and years ahead. Do you agree with that statement?
The way that I believe that you can reduce inequality, reduce poverty, and actually also improve the living standards of ordinary working people, not in poverty, but struggling to get by, is through growing the economy.
You know, the economist that she quoted, that was actually you.
Well, look, I mean, I want to reduce poverty and inequality. I didn't go into politics, but how do you do that? What are the practical things that we can do?
Well, your suggestion in that quote was to tax the banks more and those earning more than £100,000 more, but you've gone back on that.
Well, look, the way that I think that we can lift people out of poverty and reduce inequality, as I say, is to get the economy growing.
Let's face it, he's absolutely right. Public trust in the government has been crumbling for many years, and this is deeply worrying. Research shows that fewer and fewer people believe that their leaders are actually acting in their best interests. From broken promises to questionable backroom deals, every wrong step undermines the last remnants of trust, leaving people in a state of despair. Gervais deftly exploits this mounting frustration by expressing anger that many feel but cannot voice. It's not just disappointment, it's a painful feeling that they've been forgotten, that their voice doesn't matter. Politicians are campaigning with loud slogans about change, justice, and progress, promising a brighter future. But as soon as they come to power, these promises often disappear into thin air, like smoke. Gervais's point of view sounds very convincing. If Reeves can't keep his word, how can you believe in this system? How can you hope for change when every day confirms that everything remains the same?
I think we need to do more to ensure that you don't have to rely on the bank of mum and dad.
It's very evident that the idea of owning a property is becoming more of a dream than a reality. Now that you are in power, what are the plans to make housing more affordable for young people?
Well, I think we need to do more to ensure that you don't have to rely on the bank of mum and dad. And that's why we're looking at things like a guarantor scheme to help more young people get on the housing ladder. But I think the most important thing of all is to build homes. And that's why we've made a commitment to build 1.5 million homes in this Parliament. Because unless we're building homes, what we're going to find is that the prices continue to go up and up and up. And the number of people looking to buy their own home is not going to be met by the supply of homes available. And it's why we're reforming the planning system to make it easier for builders to build and to make it harder for the blockers to stop the development that we really, really need, including with new towns, which is something that we can replicate some of that success we had in the post-war period of building new towns, new communities, of places.
This scepticism is not limited to the UK. It permeates governments around the world. Trust is like brittle glass, easier to break than to restore. Gervais's words resonate in the hearts of many because they reflect people's deep feelings and frustrations. If trust is lost, what remains? When it comes to intense interviews, Rachel Reeves seems to get lost and can't hold the audience's attention. A prime example of this was her meeting with Andrew Neil. Faced with harsh and direct questions, Reeves stumbled, stuttering in answers that were clearly not very clear. Instead of looking confident and well-prepared, she gave the impression of being insecure, and this caused viewers to doubt her ability to figure out key issues.
We've got our rules. Unless you're the Prime Minister. Political satire, isn't it? I don't get political. I feel like it though. I'm getting angrier and holding it all in more and more. Even live, I don't really get political. I think I've been naive. I've hit that age where I go, well, they're all fucking lying, shitty little fucking corrupt.
This is not an isolated case. Reeves' problems vividly reflect the difficulties of her colleagues in the Labour Party, Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner. Both of them also faced similar situations, especially when they were questioned by experienced interviewers like Neil. For many of them, these interviews become a real test of leadership, a chance to demonstrate that they are able to cope with pressure and articulate their ideas clearly. But time and time again, the leadership of the Labour Party has failed, and this is deeply troubling. Is it just nerves, or does it signal more serious problems in the Labour Party's communication strategy? Critics claim that these constant blunders indicate a lack of preparation, or even a lack of confidence in their policies. In any case, this does not inspire confidence in the Labour Party's problems it is Labour project. For a party that is desperately trying to regain trust, this is a serious obstacle. If its leaders cannot convincingly defend their positions in interviews, how can they hope to convince the public to support them? The stakes are high, and such performances only worsen the situation of the Labour Party, leaving them in a state of uncertainty and despair.
Twats. They were just lying in their own part, and I just think, I thought there was good guys and bad guys. But now I just think they're all little fucking shits. Is that political? Is that some really nuanced insight into the workings of society? Greedy little fucking posh twats. Good, that's why I don't get political.
Rachel Reeves has promised to support the working class, assuring voters that there will be no new tax increases under her leadership. For many, this promise became the basis of her popularity, a real hope that the Labour Party would protect ordinary people from further financial difficulties. But what happens when these promises turn out to be empty? Contrary to her assurances, Reeves' policy includes tax increases, which, according to many, deal a crushing blow to those whom she promised to support. For example, the increase in the threshold for the payment of personal inheritance tax benefits until 2030 caused a storm of indignation and anger. Critics argue that this disproportionately affects middle-class families who are desperate to preserve the well-being of their generations. Moreover, the planned reforms in agriculture and business support, which are due to take effect in 2026, are likely to create additional financial difficulties for small farmers and entrepreneurs, leaving them in a state of uncertainty and fear for their future.
Rachel Reeves should do the right thing and resign.
Oh, good Lord. We've all lied on our CV. I think she just needs to fess
It's
up.
not a question of lying on the CV, Nick. This is a case of deliberately misrepresenting your experience. I don't believe for one instance that Rachel Reeves is an economist and has been anywhere near the formulation of any kind of financial policy during her work experience. I think she's totally unqualified for this job, and I think she should do the right thing, which is to resign. A person who's in a position of financial trust cannot abuse that trust in any way whatsoever, and she has abused voters' trust immensely.
These actions led many to question whether Reeves was really defending the interests of the working class. Does she put long-term financial goals ahead of the immediate needs of families who are in desperate need of support? Critics of Reeves claim that her actions create an image of a leader who completely misunderstands those whom she supposedly protects. For voters, trust is everything, and when it is undermined, the consequences can be disastrous. Unfulfilled promises not only undermine Reeves' credibility, but also cast doubt on the entire Labour Party platform. If Reeves cannot keep his words, how can the public be expected to believe in the rest of the party's programme? Rachel Reeves has made bold promises to address the housing crisis, promising to build more homes and improve the healthcare system. On paper, it looks like a step towards improving the life of society, but the reality turned out to be completely different. The failure to fulfill these promises has caused a storm of criticism, especially regarding who these houses are intended for and how they will be distributed. Critics claim that most of the new housing appears to be designed for migrants, which has led to fierce disputes and divisions in society. Many believe that this approach ignores the needs of British citizens who face serious housing affordability issues. This perception of wasteful use of resources has led to deep frustration, and opponents have accused Reeves of serving one group at the expense of another, leaving those who really need help in distress. Share your thoughts.